Hey,
So, yeah.
hey, fuck Spain, huh?
Yeah, I just got the email that my application was denied. So, a little pissed, but
So wait, hold on. Walk people through all this.
Okay, so I've been for the last year and a half in the process of applying for a digital nomad visa in Spain, which essentially allows me to live here once it's approved for 3 years. The biggest hurdle to doing that is proving that Congressional Dish is a real ass business. And so that delayed it by a year because in order to convince Spain, we had to turn it into a LLC instead of a sole proprietor. Like it's been a whole fucking thing, right? So we turn it in and there's a waiting process before we finish it. You don't need to know the details. But I just got an email from our lawyers that our applications were denied. The reason, though, is okay. I'm not panicking just yet because my lawyers hadn't translated a couple documents yet. And so they said it was denied because of the translation not being correct, not because they don't believe my business is real. So like the substance of the good news is they give you the reason that the applications are denied and the reason had nothing to do with me. The problem is we were here for 3 months expecting to finish this process by the end of September. That is now looking almost
Unlikely.
impossible.
Yeah.
So,
So are you going to be an illegal? Are you sneaking across the border?
I was about to say, Jen, about 60,000 of my friends actually just walked into Spain last week. It was amazing. I texted them, hey guys, I read the Supreme Court decision and they said as long as you get it, it's fine. You can work anywhere you want in the EU. 60,000 of them just walked across. You could get in.
Yeah, technically they swam. And some of them
They did, yeah.
quite make it. You know what's wild about it's
they all swam? I thought most of them walked over. They swam. That was the majority.
So if we're going, hold on, let's finish the Jen thing and then we can get into the real story that you've opened up because you wanted to make a joke.
Yeah,
well, I actually do want to talk about this because I am seeing it covered very different.
Yes, we can.
But yeah, the Jen thing is, I thought 3 months would be enough to get this done, move home to Austin for the winter, and then come back. Now we might have to come back in between to finish the process, which is what we were trying to avoid by being here for 3 months in the first place. So I'm in a better mood than you would think I am, considering maybe it just hasn't like sank in that my timeline is fucked because we just got the email. But like that happened. There's my update.
All right. So that's awful. Let's talk about what became international news, and that is
because I do wonder if it's connected,
which is big in Morocco. The what is it? Is it Quetta? Quetta, the island that is off
Ceuta.
Ceuta.
Basically, you need to say every single letter in that word. Ceuta.
So the visuals obviously were striking. What seemed to be hundreds, if not thousands, of people rushing into Spain.
72,000.
72,000. Obviously not all in one video, but over a period of time. Yeah. So Jen, from you are there in Spain.
Yeah.
How is it being covered there?
So this all happened, I want to say 5 or 6 days ago. And for a couple of days, it was a lot of what the hell just happened here. So to help people understand what Ceuta is, it is a piece of Spanish property that's on the peninsula, like hanging off of Morocco. It's on like the Africa side of the Mediterranean. And it really it gives Spain control of the Strait of Gibraltar if we're looking at the geography of it, because it's not very big. Like I would approximate the size to be not that much different from like Gaza. So it's a small piece of land. Spain recently...
One Gaza unit.
I think Gibraltar is actually the better comparison. It's Spanish Gibraltar in Africa.
No, I'm just saying like the size of it. We're talking about a small...
The size of Ceuta is not big.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not big. There's 80,000 people total that live there. So it's not big at all. It's strategically important. Spain has had it for 350 years and they got it from Portugal. So it's like Morocco is claiming that it's occupied territory, but they haven't had the territory for hundreds of years. I know. Like, there's so much that's crazy about this. But let me tell you, what it's been like here. So One thing that's important to know is that if you get into Ceuta, you're not in the Schengen zone. So it's like if you come from Ceuta into actual, like the European territory, you still have to go through passport checks. There was really no scenario in which 72,000 people get onto this little peninsula and now are all of a sudden like free to be in Europe. And so the big scandal for it here in Spain, because like pretty much the Spanish authorities are catching all these kids who, by the way, are almost entirely male. They're all young. It's very strange. Like they've been interviewing them and the kids themselves are like, we don't really know why we did it. So the fact that like they're being called refugees or migrants is also kind of bullshit because it gives more like January 6th riot vibes than it does like desperate refugees here, because it just seems like some kind of social media chaos made these kids try to see if they could all get over the border. And so, I don't know. So they're kicking them all out. But the big scandal here has been some of, like Italy in particular, suggested suspending Spain from the Schengen zone because seeing like, oh, Spain can't control their borders, even though Schengen was never in danger. That has all completely mellowed. In fact, this whole story is mellowing here. And when you talk about like why it's happening, the conspiracy theory over here is that Morocco... Can you shush, please? Morocco is screwing with Spain because Spain, first of all, they say that they're occupying their territory, but also because of Spain's relationship with Algeria. So you'll notice there are two countries I did not name there, and yet the stuff I am being sent from America is going to sound a lot like Justin right now.
What?
Mexico?
What?
We think Mexico did it?
Yeah. What conspiracy theories are you guys hearing over there? Because I'm aware of them, but they're not being repeated over here.
Hey, Heaton, guess a group of people that's the problem.
Oh, God. Is it the Jews? Because I haven't actually heard that. But
it's the Jews. Top answer on the board. Ding. Jews.
Well, as we all know, they as a people control 60,000 migrants at any given time.
No, more specifically, it's that Israel is looking to destabilize Spain because Spain has been critical of Israel. There is real animosity between those two countries, and so like that is not invented or made up. And Israel did have, through official channels, a lot of fun talking about how they're calling upon Spain to relinquish control to the native Moroccans, this occupied territory. But yeah, there was, in what I would consider the most brain-wormy category of our social media short video universe, that was immediately fed the idea that, yes, this is a direct Israeli ploy to destabilize Spain, which is surely looking for reasons to show that they are unstable.
Yeah, I think the Morocco's pissed off about Algeria one makes so much more sense. Yeah. Like the two most plausible explanations to me are either A, this is a weird fucking algorithm thing that's like kind of like a bank run where just a bunch of people did it. That seems unlikely. 72,000 is very high, but it's theoretically possible, right? A more likely scenario to me is Morocco's fucking with Spain. Because there were also thoughts about this in 2021, which was the last time they had a big mass migration from Morocco into Ceuta. And it was because Spain was treating some guy from the Western Sahara Liberation Front for COVID, and that pissed off Morocco. And now their prime minister is in Algeria, and they don't like each other for reasons that I'm unaware of. So that seems more likely than me. I think it's more likely the Moroccans than the Jews. If I had to pick if there is a group nefariously trying to manipulate all these people. Also, having gone from knowing literally nothing about Ceuta to going down a rabbit hole on this shit over the last 24 hours. Like, I didn't even know that this existed as of a week ago.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what? I knew Gibraltar was a thing. The Spanish have an African enclave? Like, I went from knowing jack shit to like, bullshit, Morocco. You fucking know that the La Almina Peninsula has been a distinct political and cultural entity going back to 600 BC, you fucks. So, like, I'm on Spain's side of that thing. I think they're right.
And initially, when I first saw the videos like anybody else, and it was like, oh, they've gotten into Spain. I'm like, look, I'm not a geography expert, But if the Moroccans can swim at that volume from Morocco to Spain, then they should be better at the Olympics. Like we need to make sure that these guys get better training professionally, because this is a class of swimmer for which I was unfamiliar with their game. And then I found out that it was like a kiddie pool between, Morocco and an island off the coast of Morocco. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's a little bit less impressive.
They were essentially able to swim around a border fence. And so what Morocco's specifically being accused of is their police are being accused of kind of sitting back.
Waving them,
Yeah, and watching like the social media posts. In fact, there's rumors here that it's going to happen again on August 15th, because the same social media posts are now floating around on Facebook and WhatsApp. So it's like the same group of young kids are getting these messages again. The big question for me is who is sending out the messages. And this is where I kind of, so I looked into the National Defense Authorization Act. I looked into it for 2024, 25, 26, and then the one that they're writing now. In the three that were already law, there is no section on Morocco. Doesn't exist. In the one that they're writing now, the Republicans have put something in there basically implying that they're going to help Morocco reclaim their occupied territory. That
bullshit. The Republicans know that it's been a separate political and cultural entity going back past the Visigoths and the Byzantines to the Punic Wars. Everyone knows that.
They do, but they also know that Morocco's king is friends with Trump, and so there's a stick it to him to Spain aspect of this. I think that is feeding some of the conspiracy theories.
We don't stick it to him after what happened in Michigan. Please go ahead. Have respect for the establishment.
Well, I think that there's a lot of theories in America that America and Israel were behind it. I can tell you Israel has not been mentioned once over here that I've seen. I've looked in Spanish, British, German, French media. That's just not a theory over here. But when I saw that in the NDAA and knowing that groups like USAID and the State Department, which is now in the control of Marco Rubio, who loves to do shit like this. Can I believe that our spooks in the State Department would be behind sending out bullshit social media posts trying to stir things up in Morocco? That is not impossible for me to believe, but I will say I've seen no evidence of it, and there's no one talking about it over here.
Yeah.
So
you know what? That actually was a conspiracy theory I heard over here. Like I was talking to one of my buddies, and he's like, "You know who's behind it?" And I was like, "The King Abdul." And he's like, "No, the CIA. CIA did it." And I was like, I feel like if I'm trying to make a cohesive ideology for the Trump people, it's like nationalism's good and migrants are bad. So I don't feel like they'd be trying to atrophy the national borders.
I don't.
That just seems like too many layers of scheming.
You're looking at it far too politically. I'm probably more on Jen's side than I am on Heaton's side when it comes to that. In that, like,
so you think it's part of Morocco? Fuck you.
No, I'm for the Jewish attempt to destabilize the Spanish state. The argument would not be that Marco Rubio has his fingers steepled and he's like, yes, I know what I'll do. But rather, there are people this is more deep state argument and statecraft argument than it is anything that has to do with anybody that either has been in office over the last 2 years or will be in office 2 years to 6 years after that. This is more about the big brains in the State Department and USAID who have their like little Bene Gesserit, our plans are measured in centuries kind of ideas on doing that. That being said, this would be frighteningly efficient for historic USAID plans. Like, this is not usually when USAID tries to do stuff like this, they create their own social network and that nobody uses, and they're really ineffective at doing it. They've tried to do this a dozen times in Cuba with literally no effect. This would be actually efficient, which is just using the platforms that people are on to organize the kind of things that like happen all the time. The rate of crazy shit that snowballs on WhatsApp around the world has been a platform problem for them, for WhatsApp forever. They've had to like cap certain messages so they can't go viral because honor killing gangs and like rumors about somebody in a neighboring village in India would go nuts and they would just kill a guy in the middle of the street. And it turns out there was like absolutely nothing behind it. So like this would actually be an effective way of doing it, but it's so light to touch for things to happen like that it's impossible to know who. I mean, because this could just be 50 people on a Discord server who want to cause chaos and figured out a way to do that on WhatsApp more than anything else. Hold on, you guys continue talking. I think my coffee's
I kind of like the
here.
idea that this is some sort of disgruntled USAID revenge scheme. Like my buddy Mohit's just fucking with geopolitical politics by shitposting and causing mass avalanches of people. I kind of want that to happen. I feel like it'd be cool if he's powerful.
Well, like the chaos of it, obviously this would work in the CIA's favor. I don't think that the CIA is this competent, so I'm with Justin on that. And there are domestic political reasons why this would happen right now, because Spain recently did kind of announce, it was a Supreme Court ruling that said that if a migrant gets here by sea, then they can't automatically be shipped home, right? And so the idea is someone was doing the shit posting, spreading these rumors, essentially being like, the Supreme Court said, like, you know, wet foot, dry foot, apparently. Like, and so there were a bunch of kids. And like, when you look at the videos, look at them. They are young men. I saw in all the videos I watched, and I went way down this rabbit hole, I saw one woman in the whole thing, and they're all young. So this wasn't, I don't know, when we use the term refugee, you're kind of picturing like families who are starving in boats and bringing their children. Like there were no children, there were no women, there were no full-grown fucking adults. Like these were all little shitbag young men doing it. So I do I blame the social media. And as I go forward and look at like, I want to know who started the posting and who's doing it for August 15th too, because that's really going to tell you who wants this to happen, and we don't have those answers.
I want you to keep your ears posted, or your ears peeled. That's it.
Okay, I will post my ears for you.
Yeah, post your eyes and peel your ears.
Update the board. Update the new hedonism.
What I hope that there's this like genial but really irritated Spanish podcaster who's like, God damn it, nobody reads the Supreme Court decisions. It's not about left and right. That's not how the Spanish Constitution works. And like he's doing the Lord's work. Let me know. Find Andres Hiton. So that we can go to Ceuta together.
I still don't speak Spanish, so unless it's translated, like I'm a useless journalist for you. But I can tell you that I was listening to a lefty podcaster from America, and if he is any indication of what's going on over there, they are being so ideologically inconsistent because he kept screaming like, this is the Trump administration in Israel and this was an invasion of Spain. Like, don't be confused. This is an invasion. And it's like, that is exactly what Trump was saying about our southern border, where you guys were like, the invasion, this is not an invasion. That's crazy. I'm on this side. Like, it's not an invasion of either country, but like, you're falling for the trap. Like,
up to and including the talking point from the right on the southern border leading up to 2024 during the Biden administration was the influx of fighting age men without partners, without children, between 17 and 25. That was the big concern of who's going, and that's exactly who went here. So it is, you know, look, the best part about getting old is everyone eventually shows their ass. Like anybody who's really passionate about stuff, like unless you're either gonna be lame or embarrassed. That's the only two options that you have in life if you actually want to have opinions on actual things. You will eventually just be a watered down, I don't know, it's complicated. Or you will reveal yourself to be a total fucking unmoored from your intellectual arguments dickhead. There's only two ways that it goes.
And there are some people showing their assholes right now, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about some herd ass, and that is what happened in Michigan. We're not going to talk about it because this broke very, very late, an extraordinarily close election for the soul of the Democratic Party. Haley Stevens versus Abdul El-Sayed, what looked like a blowout based on polling leading into election night, was far from that, a less than 2% victory for the progressive Abdul El-Sayed, who's kind of robbed of a little bit of the celebration just because of the expectations that were going into election night. But still, Win is a win is a win. Scoreboard, scoreboard, scoreboard. The progressives on top. Any Michigan thoughts?
Not really. I mean,
I've not been following that. Yeah. I assume I don't like the guy.
I like him. I know who, out of all the people that are in primaries, like right now, he's the one who's kind of come into my orbit because he's been interviewed by people that I like and I see their clips. He seems smart. He articulates his positions really well. I think that like he makes fun of himself for having a Middle Eastern name. He's like, I shouldn't be running for Congress. Like, have you heard my name? And so he knows what the challenges are. And I think he's up for explaining himself well. So I definitely like the dude. I like him better than that person he was running against with the dingbatty accent and the 30 million in AIPAC money.
70. Well, 70 was spent against him. But 70 was spent against Abdul El-Sayed.
It's an obscene amount of money. And so I guess I'll say this. I don't follow the people as much as you do, Justin. What I am inspired by with this one is that it seems like we are turning the page possibly on how politics works. Because for a long time it was you raise the most money, doesn't matter how you get it, you get the consultants, they get the TV ads, and that's how you win. And this is showing that formula might be breaking down, and I think that's good for us if it is. If it's possible to go on podcasts and do what he did, which was go town to town and meet people for a year and a half, if that kind of politics can be successful, I think that's good for our country because I think most of us are worried about money in politics, and he is showing how to get around the rigged system. So that I like. But as far as the people and their candidacy, like I don't actually.
Like Donald Trump back in 2016, he did a really good job of circumnavigating the establishment and of avoiding those traps. He underspent everybody. He got a lot of media attention. Yeah, maybe. I hope it becomes a force for good.
I don't know if you are here. Let me start here. You are right, Jen. The way that we are running campaigns is changing. I don't know if it is quite the Mr. Smith goes to Washington, let me just press the flesh and I can get outspent idealism. It is more from an X's and O's perspective, like television spending is out the window. Mailing is kind of out the window. That was usually the way that you would reach out and raise name ID. Now name ID comes through earned media and it comes through advertisements that are bought on the new form of television, which is YouTube and a lot of these free streaming services where you can hyper target exactly where things go, as well as social media and trying to break through the For You page or algorithmic push to make sure that your message is getting in front of people in a way that is smart. And Abdul El-Sayed did that literally in what you just described, saying that he went on the right podcast, that cut the right clips, that broke through the algorithm and showed you a version of him that he would like to see. You saw more of things that you are probably predisposed to agree with, then you saw things that you might be predisposed to disagree with. That's a great campaign, and it succeeded for him. Where it's going to be challenging going forward is that the Democratic Party in Detroit too, but in Michigan is fractured. And, you know, I've said this on PX3, the progressives now need to do a reverse real world. They need to stop getting real and start getting polite. They need to start making friends with people that they want to call, as Hassan Piker said during the Abdul El-Sayed victory stream, Islamophobic pieces of shit that need to shut the fuck up. You cannot talk to the black high propensity voter in Detroit like that. You need to reach out and find the thing that you agree on so you can mobilize that very, very high propensity voter to go and beat Mike Rogers in November. It's going to be a challenge. He's going to run a lot closer to Mike Rogers. And so there is a chance that Michigan could be a Senate flip for the Republicans in a wave Democratic year, which is something that obviously they would not like to see. But that's the challenge now ahead for Abdul El-Sayed and the Democrats. And I'm very curious. These next few weeks are going to be interesting to watch how they want to approach that.
I agree with every word you just said, but I also think that Democrats need to do vote blue no matter who both ways, because it's always the progressives that are told to line up behind the centrists. It needs to go the other way now, too. it's the progressive guy that won. He's your blue. You got to vote for him. And right now I'm seeing a lot of people like John Fetterman is fucking everywhere being like, oh, the left is dangerous. And like he went on Jon Stewart and exposed himself as an idiot. But like he's not the only one who's out there saying that these DSA candidates don't belong in the Democratic Party. They should just run as something else. They should be third party. Like, no, if you want their votes for your centrist candidates, then you welcome them in the party. And when the progressive wins, you support them too. And I think that that's something that the Democrats need to reckon with. And right now, the establishment is still going the other way and trying to kick everyone who is not them out of the party.
I'll tell you what, Jen, though, like this is the exact same thing that happened with MAGA and their establishment. And this is the onus is on. Yes, but they did it by doing just enough to give the establishment a hold your nose permission slip to say, I don't like him, but. And that is like, that did not happen by accident. That happened by policy, that happened by reach out, and that happened by surrogates. And it is incumbent upon the progressives to do it. You can't just stamp your feet and say, we held our nose, we held our nose, we held our nose. Now you hold your nose. And if you don't hold your nose, you're a piece of shit. That doesn't work. You actually do have to build the tunnel.
I think that the vote blue no matter who goes both ways is politically expedient. I think that is good strategy. I don't think that they should do it though. The few Republicans that called out Trump for being crazy, like that was the right thing to do. Like I don't want the Republicans to fall in line. I don't want the Democrats to fall in line either.
Yeah, but I don't think we're dealing with extremism in the Democratic Party the way they were in the Republican Party. Like we don't have anyone storming the Capitol. We're talking about a difference in opinion on a foreign nation and like how we accomplish healthcare. Like some of them want Obamacare, which is kind of privatized, and some of them want it to be fully government. Like these are differences that are not like the Republicans of before who were all about free trade, and now they're imposing 100% tariffs on generic drugs. Like those are so far apart that that's a bigger divide than what's going on in the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party should be able to come together because right now the biggest dividing line is obviously Israel. That's not even America. So I don't think that it's an apt comparison, really, to compare what happened with the Republicans and the Democrats.
How about this? I think the ethical position that I'm putting forward is if you see crazy or immoral people, if you think that there are crazy or immoral people in your party, you are under no obligation to fall in line for them. And I would say that to Republicans and Democrats both.
I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. And when I look at the people in the Democratic Party, Justin, you'll know her name. There is one lady who I think we can actually call crazy.
Francesca Hogg?
No.
The leading progressive who will likely be the Democratic nominee for governor of Wisconsin, who said that she wanted to, she was not pulling back on her position to abolish Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah,
I've never
she
heard
apologize
of her.
for like marrying a white guy because that was somehow colonial oppression or something?
She said that her half-white son was a proximity to whiteness.
Yeah.
Okay, that's actually not the one
That
I'm
was
thinking
my
of. So
nickname in
there are
college.
two. It's the one. Her
Okay.
name's not Shyamalan, but it's something like that. It's I just think Shyamalan.
The one in New York, or
Yes.
did she already win?
We talked about her.
Daraliza Chavez something.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, there are individuals that are the Marjorie Taylor Greens of the Democratic Party, but I can't name them using all of the fingers on my hand. So it's like, talk about those people, fine. What I am seeing right now with centrists like Fetterman and Carville, I think Galloway's been doing this too, is that they're going around and saying that everyone who calls themselves DSA is crazy and dangerous and socialist and shouldn't be welcome in the party. And like that is the type of broad brush that I think the Democrats should really stop doing if they want to take power.
Part of it is also the DSA co-chair going on Fox News and saying that she wants to abolish the Senate. And like they basically like, yeah, I mean, but that's now that you're in the big leagues and it's not just bomb throwing and trying to move the Overton window left, there is a different game. There are levels to this. And so it's like, on one hand, if you're like, yeah, abolish prisons and abolish the Senate and Thanksgiving should be banned, that's cool when you're just talking to your group, right? But if you want to move into the big power structures, there does need to be a different way of doing it. Now, where I think things tend to get a little confusing is that Donald Trump made that look a lot easier than I think it really is and was. Because he was such a force of nature, he was a 30-year celebrity in people's minds. His name ID was through the roof, and he's preternaturally good at press. He can control a press cycle in a way that very, very few politicians in American history can. That's not the same as everybody else. And so it's like there is a mechanics to it. And we'll see, because a lot of these candidates are going to be the poster children of the entire Democratic Party as far as the Republicans are concerned. They're going to put Francesca Hong up on every television. They're going to put the first line that's going to be at the grocery store, the government-run grocery store in New York City. That's going to be in Iowa in swing districts to say, like, look, they're bringing bread lines. The communists are here. They've overtaken the Democratic Party, and this is what they really believe. And then they're going to show clips of what they're saying, not 10 years ago, not 5 years ago, not on a Twitter feed, but like today, now in August.
Which I understand, but Republicans are going to do what Republicans are going to do. Like, they've been calling people communists for like 70 years. So I'm more concerned with what... Okay, stop it. No, I'm more concerned with what the Democrats are choosing to do. So if, like, you talk about walking that line and paving that road, I think AOC has done it pretty well. She got into office by throwing bombs. Now she's kind of friends with Nancy Pelosi. Bernie Sanders has been in the Senate for 110 years, has caucused with the Democrats the whole time. They are being lumped in as the dangerous extremists by other Democrats. And that's the type of shit that I'm talking about. If someone really is extremist, go ahead, point them out. Like, every party is going to have their wingnuts. But you can't say that everyone who wants Medicare for all and doesn't want to fight wars for Israel is a dangerous extremist. Like, that's going too far. And that is being said right now. That's more what I'm talking about.
Part of it is that they've endorsed these candidates, though. It's not like
because
they're just being
want Medicare
lumped.
for all. Like, how many times do we have to elect Democrats who do nothing?
That's not controversial.
Okay, for the crazy person we talked about in New York was not endorsed by Bernie Sanders. I know nothing about the Hong woman, so I can't even talk about that. But they aren't endorsing all of the crazy candidates. There aren't a lot of crazy candidates. So it's like, I don't like that I'm getting this much pushback by saying that people who are not crazy, like Bernie Sanders, being labeled as crazy is a crazy thing to do if you want to win as a Democrat.
A couple of things. First of all, Justin, you've got me scared because you're describing like almost a self-catalyzing cycle where the DSA is picking up seats is not swing districts. It's in really, really solidly blue places. So it's in a place
it's also why there's a brewing race war in the Democratic Party, but we can save that for another show.
We'll save that, yeah. But like it's not in swing districts. It's in solidly blue districts. The Republicans are absolutely going to use them as the emblems of the Democratic Party writ large to go into swing districts. So there's a very good chance that what's going to happen is otherwise competitive districts where you need to have somebody that is more moderate or centrist are going to lose to Republicans. And this will be trumpeted as, see what happens when we run moderates and centrists, we end up losing. But it's because the competitive districts, you're going to have something more in the middle. They're going to get drugged down by them, and you're going to get more and more of this, which I don't like. I'm not pleased by this. I think that there's a kind of Mott and Bailey thing that goes on here. Like I hear that the DSA just wants
explain
Medicare
that
for all
for everybody that doesn't spend a lot of time online.
Mott and Bailey is either a tactic or a fallacy. I can't remember, but it's establish a bunch of things and then retreat to a thing that is sensible. So if the DSA just wanted to fund libraries and adjust medicine, I wouldn't be worried about it. But I do hear lots of things coming out of various DSA candidates that really, really worry me in terms of kind of the basic tectonic functions of the economy. I would Bernie Sanders, I don't believe is DSA, but I would put him in that camp. I like him personally very much, but he worries me a great deal.
He's definitely DSA. He's the one
he?
who coined the phrase, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know if he's technically
and I think he's
DSA aligned, but we'll send that to the fact checkers.
Yeah, but like I like him personally very much. I think that his ideas are very, very bad, and I'm very alarmed that they would become mainstream. Now, if we're just talking about like funding libraries and stuff, that's fine. But when we get into like, sweeping moratoriums and things like that, fundamental understanding of how prices work and how to build prosperity, like these are big things. I view this as getting pinched from both the progressives and the conservatives. I don't like what happened with Trump. I don't like the DSA taking over the Democratic Party.
I mean, you're not a Democrat, so I don't think you're the person that Bernie Sanders is trying to appeal to. And as we've seen with the election results, there's a lot of people that are liking what the DSA are selling, and I don't think they're dangerous or extremist.
Also,
none of us are Democrats on the panel, though.
That's true. I will say I would give you a little bit of settled down juice there, Heaton, in terms of looking at the knock-on effects of what this is going to mean for toss-up seats. We don't know. We have no idea, and we also don't know what the environment is. Like right now, it seems like even if all the DSA candidates ran 5 points behind the average in a lot of these toss-up seats, they might still win because it might be a very favorable environment for Democrats. So it's like, we have no idea. Right now, we do know the one thing that is for sure is that there is a brewing, if not active, fight between specifically minority centrists who are very dependent on a lot of these solid blue seats for a foothold to power, and those are being cannibalized by the DSA. Like when you have Jim Clyburn out and out saying that the DSA is a white movement, like that means that there is a racial reckoning happening, and it will eventually come to a bigger head as this stuff plays out. Can we end on a joke? Is there a fun joke? We need a no joke? Okay.
You know what? I'm pretty sure Bernie Sanders and I agree on Ceuta, and I would totally hang out with him there because I do genuinely like him as a guy.
He does seem like a fun old grandpa.
I would like to get 2 sangrias.
We all agree that the Carthaginians started this as a trade outpost in 694, and it has been a separate polity since that time.
From glittering Las Vegas, Nevada, I'm Justin Robert Young from Barcelona, España.
I'm Jennifer Briney.
And from Edinburgh, Scotland,
I'm Andrew Heaton.
And we're not wrong on this edition of the program. We're going to talk about some just insanity between the Congress and the House here with Max Miller, Bernie Moreno, and the current tire fire that is the Republican Party of Ohio. Also a great long read on data centers and the patchwork movement to oppose them. An exceptional article that I hope everybody reads, but we're going to talk about it here. All that plus your emails. Let's go ahead and get started. Ohio Republican Max Miller of the House of Representatives faces renewed scrutiny over allegations that he abused his former wife, Emily Moreno, and their 2-year-old daughter. Miller denies wrongdoing, saying that prior child welfare reviews were unsubstantiated and refuses to abandon his re-election campaign. On Tuesday, he requested a House Ethics Committee into himself, saying that he has nothing to hide. Senator Bernie Moreno, Emily's father, broke months of public silence on Sunday, calling Miller dangerous and unfit for office and in need of professional help. Republican leaders have cited due process and not taken immediate action, even as Wednesday's deadline approaches. That's today as we record this, and spoiler alert, he ain't going nowhere. Question, Mr. Andrew Heaton. Should Republicans do more to force Max Miller out, and should Bernie Moreno have made a public statement earlier?
Yes, of course they should, and they won't. But yes, they should do it. I think Miller strikes me as a bad dude. I did a little bit of just like a scant amount of research on the guy. So what he's been accused of by his ex-wife is throwing boiling water at her and holding a gun to her head. His position on this is that he playfully threw water at her and it wasn't boiling, and there was like a squirt gun or something like that. Now, prior to this particular very, very acrimonious divorce, he he had been dating, I believe it was Grisham, who was the press
Stephanie
secretary
Grisham.
for Trump previously. In her biography, her memoir, she'd mentioned being abused by a former boyfriend who was a White House staffer. And then she later came out and said it was this Miller guy. He ended up, I think, suing her for defamation. And then she wound up getting a restraining order, as has his ex-wife. He's charged no contest to misdemeanors for assault, disorderly conduct, resisting arrest, although that was later removed due to a diversion program. He had a disorderly conduct situation again in 2010. He was charged with operating a vehicle without reasonable control while drunk. According to the officers, he told them that he did 2 to 3 beers and several shots and then woke up in urine-soaked pants. I don't know. There's just a bunch of stuff here. I think that there's enough smoke here to raise legitimate questions. Marino, it's more complicated when you have a member of the Senate weighing in on the composition of the House. So I take that a little bit more cautiously. But I think there's sufficient stuff here to go. This guy seems to have an impulse control problem, and there's enough women that have brought up charges against him that it makes me question whether he's a scumbag or not. I think he's probably a scumbag based on what I've read, and it would be good for him to leave. Now, that being said, nothing's going to happen. I can tell you why. Yeah.
Okay, just real quick, if you could be specific before we throw to Jen on what the Republicans should have done. What levers did they not pull that they should have pulled?
Have they come out and said he should resign, like made an official statement that he should resign or anything like that? Or is it just one or two of them?
Moreno has. Speaker Johnson did not. Trump apparently reportedly called him and told him that he should drop out.
Yeah. I think, I don't know that there needs to be an actual formal legal process at this point beyond what they're already doing, which is investigating the matters. But in terms of being able to, as a group, vocalize that they don't particularly like the guy and they don't want to have somebody that is domestic abuse charges multiple times in their ranks, I think that would be well put. Having everybody line up behind the guy strikes me as a bad thing. That said, I don't think they're very likely to do that because scandals in general don't tend to knock people out right now. If you've got a thin margin in the House and an electorate that's very, very polarized, that scandals just don't have a lot of weight. So I don't think it's likely to knock him out from an institutional perspective, although maybe he'll end up losing the election itself.
Jen?
Yeah, so I don't know how this guy wasn't on my radar, but he actually got put on my radar, I think 2 episodes ago on Congressional Dish, because even though in general on the main episodes of Congressional Dish, I only talk about bills that have already become law, stuff like that. There was a scene that happened in the House of Representatives that I thought was so crazy that I had to highlight it, which is that in a debate about whether or not we should have troops in Lebanon, our only Palestinian member of Congress, Rashida Tlaib, got up and told completely accurate stories about what has been going on in Lebanon. I fact-checked every single one of them. She was calm, respectful, but saying we need to debate our involvement in these types of things. There was nothing crazy about her speech at all. Max Miller then got up there and accused her of hanging out with terrorists, then said she's getting too emotional, said she's a horrible person, basically yelling at her on the floor of the House of Representatives. After 15 minutes of basically behind the scenes debate, they ended up banning him from speaking for the day. But I saw him verbally abusing a member of Congress, calling her a terrorist and being like, this guy seems crazy. And then all of this ends up on my feed. So it's I am already biased against him because I already saw behavior from him towards a woman that I thought was inappropriate, unfair, and just verbally abusive. So that is where I'm coming from. Then I found out his violence resume. Andrew, you've already talked about some of it, but let me run over it real quick because he's accused of, he was arrested for punching a guy in the back of the head and evading arrest when he was in high school. Also in high school, he allegedly threw a girl down the stairs. In college, he got that DUI that he mentioned. He said he had 3 beers. When they did a test of his blood, he was on booze, Klonopin, and ecstasy. In college, he faced expulsion for a, quote, violent incident involving a female student, unquote. I'm quoting from an article in Mother Jones. In 2021, so this was 5 years ago, Stephanie Grisham said that Max Miller pushed her against a wall and slapped her. Then the wife, Emily Marino, said that he scalded her with hot water, held a gun to her head. And then in mid-March of this year, her 2-year-old was returned to her from the care of Max Miller with a broken collarbone that was unexplained. So she noticed bruises, took the kid to the hospital, and the collarbone was broken. So this, the Republican Party has known about the whole time since mid-March. Like, I'm actually really disgusted with Senator Marino. I now think he's a bad person because when your granddaughter comes home with a broken collarbone and you stay quiet for political reasons, I'm dumbfounded by the lengths that this Republican Party will go to protect their own, even at the expense of their own family. Like, that's how I'm seeing Senator Marino right now, because the Mother Jones article that had all of this came out on July 18th. Marino didn't say shit until August 2nd. My father, you would have to get a restraining order against him if something like that was being accused by my brother-in-law against my nieces. Like, there's no way that he would stay silent for the party for 2 fucking weeks after that comes out. And after, like, mid-March is when the kid was hurt. I'm dumbfounded by this. And then just last week, there was a restraining order put against Max Miller for threatening and grabbing Emily Marino's lawyer. One of those instances happening in court. So this is the level of violence that we're talking about. That is a long resume of violence against men and women. And the Republican Party is protecting him in the same way that they protect their pedophile in chief. Like, this is a party that does not hold their own accountable. And so when it comes to Max Miller, Justin, you asked Andrew, what do I think that they should have done?
Yeah, what levers should they pull?
Well, I mean, let's use George Santos as an example. They kicked him out of Congress for financial things. Like, he didn't beat up a 2-year-old. So expulsion, I think, is probably too much to ask for this party, but they could pull all funding from his campaigns. I mean, Stephanie Grisham was one of their own. She's a Republican. She was a press secretary, I believe, in the first Trump administration. Yeah. They could have just not supported him in the 2 elections that he's had since then. They could pull all funding from him now. They could en masse say that this guy, we don't want him to remain in the Republican Party. So even if you don't want to expel him, a lot more of them could be saying, like, yeah, that seat, let's have someone else go into it. But they're not even pushing him out of the election. They're staying silent because this is what they do. And, like, I'm not surprised by any of it, but it's just like another level of depravity for this party. And so that's what I think they should do. I'm with Andrew in my prediction that they will not, because they've shown their level of shamelessness. And, like, but yeah, that's what I think they should do. But morals have just left the building with the Republican Party.
Question for the panel, real question. Can a party kick out somebody from the party? Like, can the Republican or Democratic Party say you are stripped of membership, you must run as an independent? I don't know.
That's a question for Justin.
Yeah, it would be so, if it exists, it would be a lever that goes after we're just going to expel you from the House, because that actually is the thing that usually motivates people, because if you're expelled, you don't get any benefits. So you resign so you can keep your benefits. And so forcing the hand at that point is the way that that would normally go. The problem for Republicans is they have such a thin majority that even moving basic mechanical things that would maintain their control of the House is at risk if they don't have every vote that they can count on right now. I don't think anything Jen has said is out of bounds. I think from what I have heard behind the scenes, Max Miller is looked at as an odious, disgusting character by left, right, and center. He's a dickhead who has a terrible reputation and may well be every bit. I'll just put it this way. If you were to say there is a campaign to assassinate my character from Max Miller's perspective, and believe it, and then say, okay, well, let's shave 15% of what is alleged against you away from it, you're still maybe one of the worst people that I have met. Like, you are a terrible, terrible person. Where I will give a little leeway is to Moreno. Not because I think that he doesn't understand political gravity, but just I'm not, having been around domestic violence situations and being around like unstable people when there's a young child involved, I don't blame anybody for not making sudden, gigantic movements. Those are a lot easier to ask for from the outside than they are from the inside, because there's a million little things that happen. Promises possibly made or kept or broken, off-ramps that are offered and then not taken. There's just a lot that can go into that. I'm not saying that your read on that, Jen, is incorrect. It may very well be. I just don't feel comfortable making it from afar when this is involving not only his daughter, but also his granddaughter. It seems pretty clear that they were under the assumption that Max Miller was going to resign on Sunday, which is why they didn't say anything. And he wound up coming out saying that he should resign after Max Miller had scheduled a live stream where they thought he was going to resign. And then he came out and said, absolutely not. I'm not going to resign. In fact, here's a Dropbox filled with facts, apparently, that include naked pictures of their 2-year-old and an audio of him arguing with his ex-wife about needles by their bedside, which apparently was for testosterone replacement therapy, which, if there's one thing that it seems from all available evidence Max Miller might need less of, is testosterone. I don't know why he was injecting it into himself. He seems like he's got pretty roiling T levels as it happens. But yeah, he's a mess. He should be out of Congress. The Republicans are the only thing I would disagree with Jen on. I would disagree with none of the verbiage on the sick, sad world of depravity and that exists. I would just extend it to all of Congress, because I don't think that it is a party-specific problem.
I will second that, or at least I'll say this. I tend to view like large parties structurally rather than spiritually, and I think the structure is what you got to look at. I'm planning to do an episode on the political orphanage here pretty quick in the next month or two on, are sex scandals better, or I should say, are sex scandals more numerous now, or are they declined? Because like if you talk to the average person, I think they would say like, oh, like politicians today are really, really awful, unlike in bygone era when we had statesmen. But like, I know enough to like the Quorum Club. You ever heard of the Quorum Club? It was just like a private senator thing where they kept prostitutes downstairs. Like LBJ bragged that he fucked more floozies accidentally than JFK did on purpose. Like there's like, I don't think
they had to shut down the Quorum Club because they were afraid the Soviets had understood it to be such an effective honeypot placement situation that like intelligence had to get involved with the Quorum Club because they were like, there are too many Reds. Yeah.
Or I shouldn't say they. The State Department deported a woman that had been fucking Kennedy because they thought she might be an Eastern European spy. And this is all happening in the 60s. So the reason I bring this up is what I want to do is I actually want to try to get like data on this. I'm trying to get in contact with this particular professor that runs a scandal database, because my thesis is that it used to be the likelihood of getting caught for a scandal was very small, but if you got caught, you'd have to leave office, that the impact was very high. And I think now it's reversed, where the likelihood you're going to get caught, very, very high. The likelihood you get in trouble, pretty small. And that's partly because we have so much media exposure now that people are a lot more inured to that kind of thing. But the other reason, and this is the part that really like just saddens me, is there seems to be a very strong correlation between surviving scandal and staying in office and effective polarization. As a quick reminder for everybody, ideological polarization is when you have increasingly disparate beliefs from the other team. effective polarization is just when you hate the other team. You just fucking hate them. That's effective polarization. When that's really high, people tend to be a lot more forgiving of their party's scumbags. And it's not good. I don't like it. Like I want parties to police themselves, and I want people to be willing to throw out scumbags even if they're in the same party. But right now, people are like, Republicans and Democrats hate each other so much that it's a lot easier for the faithful to write off the indiscretions of their comrades in arms in the good fight against the evil team. And it takes a long time to finally hit a threshold where they're like, okay, this is too much.
I'm going to push back on both of you on this. I do not think this is an equal problem in all of Congress between the Team Republican and Team Democrat, because I can think off the top of my head 3 sitting members of Congress who have issues who have not been excommunicated from the Congress: Corey Mills, Chuck Edwards, Max Miller, all Republicans. When Eric Swalwell had an issue with being a sexual predator, he was out within a week. So tell me one person in this Congress who is a Democrat who has been accused of violence who is still there.
But Swalwell only left because they could also kick out Tony Gonzalez.
But he left.
If that was
the Democrats,
if
we're keeping score, the Democrats had 1, the Republicans have had 4, the Republicans have gotten rid of 1. 3 of them are still there.
My issue
Corey
is not
Mills,
to say
we've known his skeletons for a long time. Justin, seriously, I'm asking a question. You get 1-word answer. Is there a single Democrat in? Well, you said that you were pushing back on me because you were saying that Democrats, it's all of Congress. It's not just the Republicans. It's Democrats too. Name 1.
Right. So can I clarify my position on this, Jen? Here's what I'm
talking to Justin, not you, Andrew. It's really Justin's comment that it was all of Congress. Let me finish with him for a second. Can you name 1?
I don't want to use my 1 word. Name 1 what?
1 Democrat currently in Congress accused of sexual harassment or violence.
That is accused of sexual harassment or violence. I cannot, but that's not my point. Does that matter?
So why are you saying it's... Yeah, it does, because we're doing that thing where we're saying that the Democrats and the Republicans do the same thing in protection of their bad kids. They don't.
Yes,
because Swalwell got kicked out.
They do. Well, only because Tony Gonzalez could also get kicked out.
But it happened.
And Tony Gonzalez got kicked out. So the Republicans don't get credit for that. My point is not to say that these are moral situations. My point is not even to say that the Democrats are in the same situation that the Republicans are in right now, because the Republicans are trying to maintain a majority and the Democrats are trying to do whatever they want. They have more leeway to kick people out because they can't, if they kick half their group out, they will not be in any different of a position when it comes to the holding the majority and naming the committee chairs and all the things that you know very well go along with the majority that the Democrats are going to fight tooth and nail to get in the midterms. It is the job of that party to maintain that apparatus. Should the Democrats find themselves after January in a situation where they also have a very thin majority, do I believe that they would protect people that are in similar situations to maintain their power structure, as opposed to putting themselves in a position where they would be have to relinquish it? Yes, 100%. I do believe that they would. And now it's a hypothetical. I just think it's a hypothetical that's backed up by all of recorded history.
I think that their actions speak differently in this Congress and others. Corey Mills, we've known about his issues with hurting people since before this Congress, and the Republicans did nothing about it. So just because there was like a 1-to-1 trade, Swalwell for Gonzalez, the Republicans still have 3, and they're still protecting those 3. Although Chuck Edwards says that he's going to resign or retire. He doesn't even have to resign. He gets to keep his seat for the rest of the year. The Republicans have proven that they're not going to throw out their own. The Democrats have been throwing out their own. I'm not going to pretend that they are behaving the same way. They are proving that they are not.
That's fine. The Democrats are pure. They are a pure party with pure morals and intentions.
You know,
they don't even see
when you exaggerate what I said.
Politics.
Yeah, Justin, you talk about politics as if these justifications, like, oh, the committee chairman and they have a majority, as if that makes keeping the wife beater and the guy who like abuses a 2-year-old in the Congress, as if that makes sense, as if it's okay. This is why people get turned away from politics entirely. I understand that you're just explaining things, but it does sound like you're defending them again. Do you not hear
this
it?
is about my personal inflection?
Well, I mean, you're making fun of me as if, like, I'm calling the Democrats pure and perfect. Like, the attitude that I am getting from you, yeah, this is turning a little personal. It is. Because that isn't what I'm saying. You know it's not what I'm saying. But I think scoreboard. I think scoreboard matters. In scoreboard here, I can think of 0 Democrats that are currently in office that are accused of breaking their 2-year-old's collarbone. They don't protect that. The Republicans do. And I think we need to call that out.
Yes. And
I'm not saying the Democrats
Would you like to do it more?
I'm not, but don't. Justin, this is why I get angry with you. This is actually about you and I right now. I get angry because you try and put words in my mouth that I didn't say. I never said the Democrats were pure.
Okay.
So can we not go there when we have these discussions?
Consider it not gone.
Can I jump in for a minute?
Please do.
Please do.
Okay. All right. I think I have a way of bridging some of the disputes here. You ready for this? When you get into international relations theory, there's realists and there's constructivists and all these different things, right? In international relations theory, everybody agrees that it's about power. Everybody. So like it's about like the nations to have power, and the difference is realists go, it's all power, everything else is bullshit. Everybody else goes, it's 80-90% power, but there's a 10%, there's this other thing that's an important thing. I think that we could do something similar with what we're talking about here of there are structural phenomenons that are going to cause parties to act in a self-interested manner. And I think that is kind of a foundational thing. The sort of top level of how completely 100% cutthroat is it versus like 80% is sort of the disputed territory. I think that's a relevant place to go. I do think probably the Democrats have been better at calling out their own the last few years. It might be for the structural reasons that allow them to do it. I don't really know. Like Ken Paxton versus Menendez, I think the Democrats did throw Menendez under the bus. The reason that I don't really like getting into the conversation, though, is I don't find it terribly useful. Like, I'm not going to change my decisions based on whether I think there's a good people party or a bad people party, and who's operating more honestly or not. Like I will concede the point, Jen, that the Democrats have called out more of their own more often and quicker, and I will give them due credit for that. And I'm hoping that the Democrats beat the Republicans in the midterm. But I don't know. There's something about sort of viewing it as like the good party, the bad party. It's unlikely to change how I'm going to vote or support things. And I don't know that it is particularly good at animating other people too.
Just saying the parties are not the same. So thank you for acknowledging that they have behaved differently. Because they have. So I have nothing else to say about this.
Patreon.com/wherenotwrong is where you need to go if you want to get a bonus episode of this show. On our Patreon episode, we're going to be talking about whether or not you can buy friendship. Private clubs that give you connections and emotional warmth. That's going to be our Patreon episode. Join us, won't you? Patreon.com/wherenotwrong.
I think I'm a member of multiple groups mentioned in that article, by the way.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, then we're going to get a firsthand report.
Yeah.
Let's talk about data centers. Jasmine Sun's reporting from Wisconsin and Michigan finds that opposition to AI data centers is less a simple fight over water or noise than a crisis of trust. Residents remember failed industrial promises, opaque negotiations, tax incentives, and governments that treated public approval as an obstacle. Yet the economics are not uniformly bad. Proposed projects could clean contaminated land, generate large tax payments, and sustain construction jobs. The backlash crosses party lines because communities fear carrying the long-term risk while technology companies collect the upside. Sun's reporting argues that transparent negotiations Ratepayer protections and enforceable community benefits matter more than financial promises. Jen, what did this story teach you about this data center issue?
So you were right that it's a really good piece. It's a Substack, and I think it did a really good analysis by actually going out and talking to different stakeholders in the data center debate. And it really had 4 conclusions for those people that don't want to read it but want to stay in this conversation. And it said that the opposition isn't that much about the data centers themselves. There were really 4 things that people are upset about. And like, this rings true to me. So one is the material impacts. So they're noisy, they're ugly, they just look like warehouses that go on for like a mile at a time. And the construction is annoying to those people that live around it. No one likes living near a construction zone. 2, people are unhappy with the process. This is something that I've gotten pissed about when we talked specifically about Salt Lake City. But a lot of these data centers are being approved very quickly, with the processes happening behind closed doors, with very little public input, and within a lot of cases, there are non-disclosure agreements that are being required to be signed. So it's just like the lack of transparency in these things is pissing off communities. I share those concerns. 3, the communities are worried about weak benefits. So yes, there are a lot of construction jobs, but then when those are done, then you've got, a couple hundred people for maintenance, if that. So they're worried about the jobs not actually being sustainable. The tax deals, there's so many times that these big companies promise like big tax money, and then 10 years later, the tax money doesn't happen. They're worried about that. Worried about AI possibly being a bubble, because a lot of these towns, there was one story in there about a GM factory that disappeared and it fucked over the entire town. And they don't want that to happen again if this is a bubble and all of a sudden these data centers aren't needed. And then there's the for what of all of it. Because it's like ChatGPT, like, great, it makes it easier for me to write an email, but a lot of people are not seeing the impact in their day-to-day lives that are justifying the transformation of their neighborhoods. And then finally, they named no trust in corporations or government, especially not the deals between them. And so it is a more nuanced thing. It's like people are getting mad at the data centers, but when you look at why they're mad at them, it's not, oh, they saw a Facebook post and they're believing it is real. These are very real concerns. And I think they did a really good analysis of talking about how it's not really the data centers that they're upset about. It's all of these different things, and the data centers become kind of the symbol of it. And I do think that like the speed of all this and the lack of transparency, is concerning. So it was a really good article. I'm glad you made me read it. And what it taught me, I don't know. I feel like we've had these, like, none of this was exactly revelatory for me. I guess it just kind of taught me that these concerns that I've been expressing are shared widely, really. I mean, because it just felt so true to me, everything that these people were saying. So I don't know. I don't think I really learned much, but it was a really good perspective.
Keaton?
I learned a great term. They're bundled at the end. She mentions a thing called thymos, which means the desire to be recognized as a human being with certain worth or dignity, which I think is a really good term that is a very good one to know, particularly when you get into conversations like this. I'd say the thing that was most striking to me about it is, while she did bring it all home and Jen did an excellent job of getting a synopsis of the article, it is much more focused on vibes and feelings than it is on empirical data. I tend to like the empirical data, but I think I'm a rarity in that regard, and it mostly pisses people off. I don't think that people like that. And when somebody like me comes in and goes, "Hey, idiots, red cars are the best cars. Look at this graph. We figured it out. Red cars are better than blue cars." It doesn't work very well. So I think being able to meet people where they're at and being able to engage with them in multiple ways is a good thing. In terms of the actual opposition to it, I didn't find new reasons to to dislike the overall thing, but there were bits in it that I agreed with, like the NDA that Jen mentioned. I don't know the ins and outs of that, but I can see why that would be problematic for a community to forestall their ability to criticize a deal moving forward. And then on the tax deal, I do think that they've got a point on that, where a lot of communities will give a tax incentive to these, so they'll move in and they'll have lower taxes than other businesses. Like, I'm opposed to that, and I think they've got to. But I would feel that way on any business. Like we've had conversations about stadium subsidies, where you're trying to incentivize a particular business to come to your area, and so you throw money at them either through rebates or subsidies. Like, I'm opposed to that. So I think there were some like sub points where I'd go, I'm still overall fine with these, but the way that it's getting handled, those two things there are bad. But I'd say mostly, though, I think that what I got was that it's being able to connect with people and understand where they're coming from.
I found it to be an extraordinary article. And if I'm going to immediately make it all about journalism, I think it's really fucked up that I read this on Substack and not in any of our places where, like, this woman went out and did all this reporting by herself and bankrolled her own thing. And I'm very glad that she did it. I think that it is an indictment on some of our larger media outlets that actually have budgets, that this is not the kind of stuff that we have been getting for months, because this has been an issue for months. We should have been seeing a lot of this kind of stuff that wasn't just entirely from the mouthpiece of either the tech companies or the organizers that were raising rabble. Like, because I think that this is a far more complicated issue, and we saw a little bit of it in this article, and all it took was one woman deciding, I'm going to take 5 days out of my life and talk to people. That's what we like to call in the business reporting, and I'm glad somebody is doing it. That being said, I thought it was a really interesting study of people feeling like they're not heard. And that might be kind of the defining feeling of our age, that we are ever more connected, and yet we feel as a public more and more disempowered, and that power is getting further and further away from us as opposed to closer to us. And whether or not that's true, whether or not that's real, the feeling is undeniable. I would call to everybody a moment that I experienced when I went to go cover J.D. Vance when he was running for Senate in Ohio. And he was doing an event with Donald Trump Jr. This is in the primary for that race. This was in 2022. And it's in some Hilton ballroom. It's a lot of boomers. No less than 3 questions from the audience were about whether or not either of the two of them could get their Facebook account reinstated. Now, part of that was a little bit politically motivated because this was the era of COVID and things were being, demoted, or Facebook accounts were being cut off because of things that you were saying about the lockdowns. But still, it was odd. Like, why the hell would Senate candidate J.D. Vance or Donald Trump Jr. have any pull with Facebook? It seemed very odd to me. And yet, that was the connection into the world where people felt like they could control something. They could control their environment. They could control their community. They could have their fingerprints on their world if they were able to comment on Facebook. And the denial of that was a denial of some kind of personhood. And what you saw repeatedly in this article was these strange bedfellows, a tax wonk who's kind of more in the NIMBY world, and an environmentalist who very much believes that the construction of this data center is going to have an outsized environmental impact in their world. They are bound almost entirely on the idea of, we need to be able to affect our world, and we're connecting with each other on Facebook to go out and do it. The purpose, the given of a purpose, is huge. That is something that is a driving human emotion. This made me understand a lot of the data center backlash, because I will say I fall a little bit more into the Andrew Heaton world of like, hey, like, this seems like kind of a win-win as long as you can negotiate.
Looking at the chart, looks good to me.
Yeah, as long as you can negotiate the right deal. And that's where I do say that you should lean on your local representatives, that you shouldn't be writing these NDAs. You should be making sure that you put these companies over a barrel, because I know from the AI hyperscaler world that like they need this stuff ASAP. They are willing to make promises that they wouldn't otherwise make. They're willing to offer things as long as they have the ability to build these things. And the community should benefit from that. They should benefit from that on the front side. They should benefit from that on guarantees. They should benefit on that even in, and this was something that I don't feel like I had fully priced in, beyond big tech, beyond the data centers themselves, beyond any of the details. There's the promise of this business is gonna be here. And if the business isn't here, then nobody's gonna be there to fulfill the promises that you're making. And the next person that takes over this building is not gonna have to fulfill the promises that you are making. And so we need to have some kind of buy-in that we believe this is a thing. We believe that if you're telling me that I'm going to have relief on my property taxes because you built this gigantic 7 football field facility, I need to believe that I'm going to have cheaper property taxes until I die. And right now, they don't know enough about it. There's no promise. There's obviously a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt on the AI world in general. So I don't know. I thought it was extraordinary. I think Jasmine Sun is a great reporter, and it wasn't because she had beautiful prose, and it wasn't because she packaged it in a multimedia short form way. She did it in what used to be on the front page of the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal. Just good ass reporting. And I loved it. And I was very, very excited to highlight it here on this show.
I think you touched on something that might also be like the bigger picture here when you said this business is going to be here. I think there's a lot of us that are being like, A, is it? Because like all we're really seeing is ChatGPT, and B, no one fucking asked me. Like, I think I've said this before, but it's like this whole societal change that we're being promised is inevitable. I think there's a lot of us going like, I don't know if that's true, and I was given no input on this, so why am I being asked to help build the thing that I'm not even sure I want to exist? Like this whole idea that this business is here and we get no say, that might be part of the backlash too.
There's a huge white collar versus blue collar part of this. One of the union workers said in this piece that, he was cavalier about it in a way that I don't think many people are, of like laughing about like, ha ha ha, maybe now the white collar people are going to lose jobs before the blue collar people. And that is a part of this, is that the most specific vitriolic push against the data centers tend to be more intellectual white collar pushback based on the idea on the idea that you're saying, Jen, of like, hey, what does this do for my life? Do I believe that this is really going to be here? In a way that the blue collar mindset is like, wait, hold on, a shit ton of high paying construction jobs? Awesome. This is great. I don't give a fuck if it's a McDonald's playpen or an AI data center. If you're going to pay me 7 times my rate for a 2-year contract, then that's amazing. I would like to do that. More of those, please. We're not wrong. pod@gmail.com, where you need to go if you want to write in to this show. Out of Time writes, I'm not the biggest sports fan, but I do watch some soccer. Isn't the soccer overtime similar to how football works, where the clock runs out and they're in the middle of the play and they keep going? I think that's what they do in soccer. Yes, they can drag it out longer, but the team with possession is in the middle of a play. They try to let that play complete before the end of the game, so they can't be accused of stopping the game when they were in the middle of trying to score. I'm glad this person brought this up, because in America, there are 2 different types of sporting games generally. There are timed round games like baseball and football. Some of them have a running clock. Baseball doesn't have a clock. And then you have kind of free play games like basketball and hockey. In basketball and hockey, it doesn't matter what point in the play you're at. When the clock stops, that's that. In football, yes, you have if there's 1 second on the clock when the play is going on, then you have until the end of that play. But that's because there's more rigid downs there. What I think confuses the American soccer fan is that the discretion of when a play has begun and ended is entirely at the referee's discretion. And there is no free play game in the same way that soccer is played in the American world that has that, where the ref just decides, that's the end of that play. I'm going to blow the whistle now.
So here's what I want. I like the stop the clock version because I want to be able to plan walking in my car. And I don't like it when it bleeds over into Star Trek Deep Space Nine, years 1992 to 1998. But I could add like the chaos version where there's even more crazy shit going on. I've thought for years, if your football team can sneak into the stadium undetected and take the football, you win. Good job. Like, I think that you should be able to break into other games that are going on as a third dark horse team and win. I think that would be fascinating. I also think there should be a horse.
No shit. Mandatory sleep writes, Heaton and Jen, circadian rhythms are unique to the individual. Justin, sounds communist. Well, I don't like the over-intellectualization of fucking everything. Sometimes you have situations in your life where you need to wake up. Sometimes you can sleep in. This doesn't have to be like a whole thing. Why do we always do a whole thing?
I don't know. Science can be inconvenient like that.
Oh my God!
I'm going to sound like a sophomore at NYU for a minute. This is the privilege of morning people. This is the universe is built. Like, hold on, wait, hear me out of this. Now, I went to a state school, so it doesn't matter for me, right? But if you're trying to get into a very, very top school, like you're like a hyper competitive, want to go to Yale, Harvard, if you take SAT at 8 a.m., I think it's going to be very different than taking it SAT at 6 p.m. Like, I think there are material effects for people.
Do you believe that I'm a natural morning person?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm not. I would prefer, given my druthers, for most of my life, I stayed up until 3 o'clock in the morning and I woke up at 11 o'clock. It was only because of circumstances.
Stopped doing drugs.
It was only because, no, I did not stop. It was only because of circumstances in my life that I had to start waking up early. In fact, usually, especially now, I'm in fucking Vegas again. Guess what's going to happen? I'm going to go to sleep at 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm still going to wind up waking up at 8 o'clock because I just need to go do shit. There's no natural order to it. At least for me.
Spoken like a morning person.
Oh my God.
I'm going to concede something to you, Justin. I mentioned this on the show before. I think that you are more temperature resilient than I am. Having hung out with you now in both hot and cold weather, I think you just have more endurance than I do. I wish I had that. I don't. And I respect that about you. It's entirely possible that the same makeup you've got makes you more chronologically flexible than me as well, in which case, good job. But I'll say, I don't know, I think there's something to acknowledge the practicality of waking up at a given time, but there's also something to being able to optimize when you're most energetic and when you're most intelligent. And for me, I'm definitely more energetic and intelligent later in the day.
I guess I just find that to be a ridiculous, way to do it. You just need to find shit that you want to do that's worth waking up for.
I can wake up. I mean, I could wake up at 5, but I'm telling you, my brain. Let me give you an example. When I was working in cable television, right? When I was back in New York, I had to be butt in seat at 8 a.m. And so I would wake up at 5:30 or 6. I would go into my shower and just lay down in my shower like I was hungover, and then would get up and drink coffee and then sit in a chair for a minute. It was fucking death every single time. And then I'd go to work and I'd get there at 8 and I'd get work done and shit, but my brain just wouldn't activate till 11 a.m. at the earliest. I could do it. It's just that my brain was always 3/4 capacity.
Yeah, we've run this experiment in my house. You guys know how much I love playing volleyball, and in Austin when it gets hot, I kind of have to be up at sunrise in order to get an hour and a half in and not want to die. And so Justin and I, Joe and I set the alarm for usually 5:30 or 6 in the morning, depending on when the sun is rising. Joe just gets out of bed. He's fine. He can make breakfast. He can be in a good mood. It is torture for me. I have to sit on the end of the bed, get the will to live. Sometimes I take a quick shower just to wake the fuck up. He knows I'm not going to speak the entire morning, and I have an exact to-the-minute process to get out the door, and it's really not until we've warmed up that I'm even okay out on the court. So it's I have the thing to get up for, but just watching two people doing the same thing, he gets up better than I do to an alarm. I think there has to be something to the idea that some people just do mornings better, and it's biological. And I think, Justin, it's probably hard for you to understand what Andrew and I are saying, and we sound like pussies because you're not one of us. You don't know what this feels like, which is great for you. I wish I was like you. In this regard, anyway.
Only in this fucking panel does waking up at 4:30 in the morning so I can stay in shape and take care of my daughter mean that I have privilege. Like that's like, why do I have privilege because I wake up at 4:30 in the morning and I'm sacrificing my sleep so I can do a thing?
Privilege may not be the right word. I think we can say that the structures of modern life are definitely more positive towards morning people in terms of productivity and status.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I would not consider myself a natural morning person. I'm a person who wakes up early in the morning because I have to, because if I don't, then I can't do the things that I want to do. I would consider myself a dedicated person. Maybe that would be a better way to say it.
We're dedicated. It might be we just start a little later than you and go a little later. It's not that we're not dedicated. I just don't feel the need to get up at 4:30 in the morning for anything if I can schedule shit at 10.
I think there's also a high possibility that there's more than two chronological types. Like we're talking as if there's morning people and evening people. It would not surprise me at all if there's like an intermediate group or a random group. Like my buddy Fernando over here in Edinburgh, Spanish guy, like thermically, he just hates. Huh? He swam the whole fucking way. He swam the whole way. No, but he just hates moderation. Like he really likes winter and he really likes summer. He likes it really hot and he likes it cold. He hates like spring and autumn. He doesn't like it at all. I've never encountered anybody like that, but like I think there might be things like that with time. There might be some people that are more flexible. There might be people that are like middle of the day. I don't know.
Well, if we really want to annoy Justin, we can talk about our chronotype, which is like the midpoint of your sleep and what time that's supposed to be. And that does fluctuate by person, and you measure it on your Oura ring. It's an actual thing, but
I think you can. It's more malleable than you guys seem to believe. That's all.
You can change it. Mine's shifting later now that I go to bed at 1 a.m. and wake up at 10 every day. Like it's shifting. Yeah, for sure. You can change it.
That's the only argument that I've ever made when it comes to this is that it is malleable, where Andrew believes that it is Calvinistically predestined. When your father ejaculates, you now have a specific time that you wake up and go to sleep.
Yeah,
I think it's like cartilage. There's a little bit of give, but not a lot. That's what I think.
And I think that yes, you can change your habits. For me, it's been incredibly easy for me to change my schedule to 1 a.m., go to bed, 10 a.m., get up. It's been no struggle at all. If I had to do the opposite and go to bed at 7 and get up at 4, like I would be pretty miserable in doing it. So I think just the ease in which way you can go is determined by your body, because I know that there's a difference there. It's not a question. And there's got to be something biological to that.
Maybe it's this. Paisan writes, there's one born every minute. I don't care what Andrew says when you aren't around, Justin. Your olive oil voice and your guinea charm, your Dago mustache and your greasy hair, they make you one of the good ones. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's my Dago mustache that allows me to wake up early in the morning.
Listener, how dare you use these bigoted terms? I never.
It's like smelling salts. You just smell your own face and you're like, oh, I'm awake.
Could Gavin Newsom's affair derail his 28 dreams, writes. That was our first topic. Lie to your face, writes. Trump has shown that authenticity matters in the current media environment. Think there are I'm going to eat you meme, but unironically, and Newsom is the complete opposite of that. The standard is the standard, writes. As a married military member that does not drink alcohol, how many briefs have I sat through where we are constantly told that an impaired person cannot legally give consent? Every quarter, the Good Order and Discipline reports are full of cases where people have been prosecuted under the UCMJ for sexual misconduct, adultery, and rape, where consent was given by an impaired person. The moral and legal standards that apply to active duty military members should also apply to any potential commander-in-chief.
I mean, I don't hate that standard, but in the real world, people get drunk and bang. It's just like, it's what they do. I don't know. I don't know how you enforce that standard.
You could have different standards depending on because I don't think they're saying necessarily that there ought to be a different legal standard for politicians, but rather that you must be this sensible to enter the ride, that level is higher for politicians, that if you're running for office, there's a higher threshold that you need to be operating by.
I mean, there should be, but as we just discussed, even when you're in office, as Trump and Miller and Edwards and Swalwell, I mean, we have just lost moral standards for sure. So I don't know what we do with that to get them back, if we ever had them in the first place.
Yeah, I look forward to doing this episode, by the way, because I'm not sure if we did. I actually really want to see what the data is in terms of sexual scandals and who left and that kind of thing.
Yeah, in the 1950s, maybe people just slapped their wives, and that was just fucking normal. I don't know.
Very normal.
Have we changed standards entirely? I still think we're
the number one show on television's catchphrase was about domestic violence. It was about one of these days I'm going to punch you.
Yeah. And so, but where our standards are changing, I think that they should be held to higher standards in office. I do think all those people I keep naming should be booted out on their asses, but that's for us to demand. And I think that if we're saying, well, they might lose the majority, so that's okay. If that's the attitude us voters take, we're not going to get those higher standards. So
for the record, I don't believe that is something that voters should be taking into account. But if we are just explaining the behavior of the animals that live in Congress, I do think that is a major thing that they think about all the time as it results to these kinds of sexual scandals or specifically impairment. The bigger thing with Gavin, I would say, is, when she pissed the bed after you fucked her and she was married to your chief of staff, did you think maybe you were taking advantage of somebody with a drinking problem? That maybe that was when she pissed the bed after you fucked your chief of staff's wife, that maybe she was in a situation where she needed to get help, and that maybe if you cared about her, you should be pushing her to get help? Maybe. I would say, that being said, especially DC, it is unreasonable to suggest that anybody in that town has sex without alcohol involved. It is fully unreasonable. That town has an actual dead-end drinking problem. There are responsible people I know in DC that I look at their level of alcohol consumption on a weekday, and I'm like, that is fucking aggressive. So
it's really easy to sneak up on you too, by the way, because there's all these events you can go to with shitty Chardonnay. I can't drink Chardonnay anymore because I had too many shitty Chardonnays in my 20s. But you can go to this event, get shit canned, and everybody's like, okay, that's probably his one time this week when he's going to go out and let loose. They don't know that he's going to do that every night this week.
But yeah, I actually was part of the reason why this is now Justin's new long reads club. I'm slowly morphing this podcast into forcing Jen and Heaton to just read long reads that I like during the week. But I really thought a part of that with hers that I found refreshing was that she didn't just say, even though she had a fucking actual alcohol dependency problem, she did not fob off responsibility for her own actions, which I do think is part of the healing process of understanding that you do have a problem, is you have to be responsible for everything that you did, whether or not you were of a full sound mind for it. So I do think it's a complicated thing. Nobody wants to hear a man say that, women need to take responsibility for their own drinking and the actions that happen doing it. I will spare everybody. But yeah, I like it when Jen says it. I'll say under the eye of the camera, I clap every time that Jen is saying it.
Well, I mean, I think I say it because I've done it, and I think it's really hard and unfair to expect anyone to diagnose anyone else's drinking problem. Even the pissing of the bed. I had a friend, woman, she used to piss the bed all the time. We all know about it. And even if she hears this, she'll be like, yep, that's me. Everybody knew. And it wasn't she was a total lush. I mean, we were all lushes at that time. But to this day, she still drinks. She's fine. It's just her body, when she went to sleep and had too many drinks, she would just pee. And so it's one of those things, like, were all the boys that knew this about her supposed to no longer trust that they can hook up with her or date her? Because, like, you just don't know. When someone tells you, like, I'm okay, don't worry about it, I want to do this, that's consent. That's consent. It just is. So the whole, like, I was drunk, like, I don't know. Like I said, in my blackouts, I'm saying this from my experience. In my blackouts, you guys have actually seen me blacked out. You didn't know. You didn't know.
I had a guess, but it was around the time that she was talking more to the Mexican dudes behind us than me. I'm like, there might be some fuzz.
You want to know something funny about that night, Justin? I didn't black out until after you left. Like, I was having fun with those. I remember all that. It wasn't until Fatburger. I blacked out Flatburger. I know that I went there because the Fatburger was there the next day, but I was fine in that moment. But there's other times.
Quotes. We were on the road.
Oh, no, I was shit-faced. But it was so fun. And that was the thing. Like, I was in control of my faculties. I probably didn't look like it, but I was actually okay in that morning. That's what I'm saying is, like, you couldn't diagnose my level. Like, was I capable of giving consent at that moment? I actually think I was, even though I was hammered. I knew what I was doing.
While that is, these are all good points. Just from a practical consideration for any young men listening, I would still be very careful if I were you.
Well, of course.
I'm not meaning to countermand anything, but, like, if you're both really drunk.
No, I think your opinion is probably the most relevant, considering you are still the one with an active dick in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you don't want to be in a position where you make a mistake and feel bad. Or get into legal trouble, or make somebody else feel bad, and so, if at all possible, having some discretion, even if you're missing some tail, was probably the better case.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to be crystal clear that I'm not giving anyone a permission slip with what I'm saying, but I'm speaking from the side of, like, the responsibilities of the lush. Like, when I write my book, that's going to be what it's called. We have to take responsibility for our own actions, and it's not always assault if you said yes. Just isn't.
But I'm due, right? Speaking of betting your mortgage against Gavin Newsom, I know somebody who bet $100,000 against Donald Trump in 2016. He lost that bet along with his house, wife, and basically the rest of his life. Last time I saw him, he was just kind of milling around in sweatpants, looking real sad. Something tells me that the $100,000 on Donald Trump wasn't the only thing that was happening. I'm guessing that he wasn't, like, things were awesome and he was an amazing husband and father, and then all of a sudden it was one bet that totally took him. Look, I probably spend the majority of my life looking at politics stuff, and I love and am fascinated by gambling. I will be doing both during this trip in here in Vegas. I would not put $100,000 on anything. I don't believe $100,000 worth of anything in the world of politics.
Or anything on earth. That's so much money.
I kind of respect
I would
this
put
guy.
it in, like, a mortgage, like, so I could buy a house. Yeah. But
I would never make that bet.
A mortgage is kind of like a bet, right? Yeah,
well,
you're betting you can keep paying.
Like, I definitely have $100,000 in the stock market, but this is me, like, contradicting my own casino thing, but, like, that's not making a bet on who's going to win the presidency and then you lose it all if someone, like, that's crazy. And same if you do it on a game.
If I lost $100,000 on Hillary Clinton, man, I'd be so mad at myself. I'd be so fucking mad.
See, okay,
you would have put on a pussy hat and marched around.
There's stated
I wouldn't know the other way. I would have stormed January 6th the first time. I wouldn't have waited for those pussies who did it after 2020. I would have done it in 2016, 2017.
2017.
I like that this guy did this to some extent, because, like, this is why, like, betting is usually more accurate than polls. because you ask people like, who's going to win? And they're like, Gary Hart, 100%. And they're like, do you want to put money on it? And they're like, no, I don't want to put money on that. I'll put money on Clinton, thanks. And you're like, oh, right. Okay. Because like a lot of the time when people say things, what they're saying is like, yay team, or this is what I want to have happen. When you have them put their money on it, they're way more calculating. So in this guy's case, to put $100,000 there, that almost, to me, $100,000 almost sounds like he, like, on a subconscious level, believed the more he paid, the more he could, like, make it happen. Like, universe, here's how much I believe this. Look at my act of faith.
I think he was going with what everyone in the media was telling you was a lock.
$100,000 on Hillary Clinton in 2016 is a degenerate gambling problem. Okay, you have a problem. And I'm going to bet on the preseason tomorrow. Like, I'm telling you this. I am betting on the preseason tomorrow. Fuck
Do you hate having money?
I like the action, baby. I'm going to bet against Kenny Pickett. I've already done some models on this. Oh my God. I got a whole system for betting on the preseason.
On the preseason. Yeah, you've got a problem.
But I'm betting like $25. I'm doing something so I can have.
And it's so you give a shit.
I'm going to spend more on the drinks I drink watching the game that I bet $25 on, because it'll be more exciting to watch dog shit football being played. It's fun because action is fun.
We both know I would be doing the same thing in Vegas right now just to have a reason.
Strategic wrinkles was our second topic. Frozen Faces says, I have seen some talk about the rising trend in leaving some lines on your face as backlash to the clownish Mar-a-Lago face. Also, preventative Botox was invented by plastic surgeons to double their client base.
I buy both of those 100%.
Oh my God. If we get to the point where people are getting plastic surgery to spite the other team, then everybody deserves what they get.
No, they're
at the
not
end of that.
getting it. To not look like, Kim Gargoyle or whatever. How do you say her name?
Guilfoyle.
You know who I'm talking about.
I know exactly who you're talking about, and it's very funny. Woman Knower writes, women excessively focus on their face. I can tell any woman's age by looking at their hands, which are usually wrinkled and sun-spotted.
Guilty.
So they're kind of like trees. Like you count the rings on trees. You can look at the elbows or the hands.
No, you count the rings a different place. Big Red writes, I feel like maybe you guys being a bit younger than me missed how much everyone smoked everywhere before the early 90s. Nothing gives you that road hard and put away wet look like a pack-a-day habit for the past few decades.
Yeah, that's
I think you're
true.
right.
And the wrinkles you get around your lips. Have you ever noticed the smoker chicks that get like 1,000 wrinkles that go all the way around?
It's a weird wrinkle because like regular wrinkles are sagging, smoking wrinkles aren't affected by gravity. So like we're all gonna get like a little bit of jowl, droopy face, right? That's just gonna happen. But like smoking face is like it's been blown at you directly. Like it's not like the lines are at a different angle than I'm used to.
So wait. In Europe or Asia, where they never stopped smoking at the rate that they did, do people still look like, does a 40-year-old still look like a 40-year-old look like in the 80s? Or do the 40-year-olds look like they do for me? Because like I look like I would have expected I would have looked like in my 30s. If I colored my hair, I would look shockingly similar to how I did in my 30s.
Now, I've met some people that are younger than me, but they smoke and they look older. I was shocked.
I wonder if you've got more latitude if you've got more melanin. Or is it melatonin? I always confuse those two. Which is the one that makes your skin darker?
Melanin is the freckle.
Melanin.
Melatonin makes you go to sleep.
Maybe if you got more melanin, you got more runway on that.
But what about Asians? Because they have a complicated relationship
melanin, right?
with. Or is it melanin? Do Asians?
All I know is white people age the hardest and fastest. Everybody else doesn't go as quick. So I'm assuming everybody else has more melanin.
Well, specifically your kind of
melanin
white.
Makes you black, you guys.
Yeah.
It's the stuff that's in your freckles. It's what makes black skin black.
But isn't there more melanin in like Greek people compared to Norwegian people? Isn't that what makes the difference between the olive complexion and the pallid pallor of a vampire?
Sure. What does this have to do with smoking?
I'm just saying if you have more melanin.
You can smoke more if
Justin brought up Asia and Europe, and it's like maybe if you're in Italy or you're in China, because you've got more melanin, you've got you can smoke more than people can in Iowa. I don't know, for white people over there.
The people that smoke here look like shit.
I retract my theory. It sounds like it's been disproven immediately.
I mean, they all look old and haggard and wrinkled, and I mean, it's just biology. Why, Andrew? I mean, you travel in Europe a lot. Do you think that the old smokers look better here?
I'm mostly hanging out with models and just going to Victoria's Secret parties and things. I don't think I've seen a European over 37.
I know that's actually true. You get some real hot chicks. So I know you're trying to be funny here, but
in fact,
there's actually a little bit of truth to that one.
Yeah.
This email, Heaton is an angel writes, Heaton, you handsome devil, do not succumb to the siren song of botulism. If you're bothered, try face yoga and gua sha. Also, if you go to Turkey, please vlog it. We also got specifically people saying, do not go to Turkey. The exact same hair replacement surgery that you get in Turkey, you can get in America at a reasonable price. And Turkey has apparently a reputation for not doing it right. And that is a surgery for which you do not want to get wrong.
Right.
I have a friend that went to Turkey, got it done. He looks fantastic. His hair looks
People are saying,
so good.
many are saying that you can do that here in America. The idea that there was many people. We have the best hair replacement.
Face yoga. Face yoga sounds like bullshit to me. Is it bullshit or is it real? Because that sounds like horse shit.
You know what?
I don't know.
I think for science, Andrew, you should do face yoga, film it, show the whole world you doing face yoga, and then let us see what happens. Just for science. We need you to do it.
I might do it. For science, I might do it.
I would watch that every day.
You know what? One of the things I do find funny is you can spot people just based on how their wrinkles set. So I can spot a 60-year-old Englishman from a 60-year-old American, even if they have the same ethnic heritage, because there's a certain way English people hold their mouths that you can just see it, right? And with the Scots, as they get older, they just kind of look like angry potatoes or Lex Luthor. And so it turns into this everybody kind of ages in this particular way. And then Arabs don't. They just shrink. I went back to St. Elijah's in Oklahoma City when I was there in July, and I'm hanging out with all these Lebanese people. Father Constantine looks the exact same. He's just a head shorter. All the women, they look exactly the same. They just have more gold bracelets and they're a head shorter. Amazing.
All right.
I hope that was just really racist. And
I
that was
know,
the most adorable racism.
I don't think I can get mad at me for saying Lebanese people age well.
I'm not, we're not going any further. I'm just hoping.
Yeah.
I'm going to clap underneath the camera. Finally, cute little guy brings us on home. As somebody blessed with a baby face, I can attest to the opposite but equal problem Heaton has. I have stories of being accused of having a fake ID trying to get into an R-rated movie or being kicked out of a YMCA sauna because the lifeguard didn't believe I was over 16 and could be in there without my parents. I also suspect this is one of the reasons why I've had little luck in the online dating world. Women assume that I'm immature or not to be taken seriously when I appear 10 years younger than my stated age. The only thing keeping me going is the hope that when I'm 60, I can look 45 and start raking in the ladies and bring my average up to something respectable.
Oh, my perfect model tits hurt my back. Oh, my long legs make it easy for me to trip over things. This is not equal, fucker. We're not living in an equal thing.
Yes.
What is
No, it is unequal because this guy's saying he can't pull. And I know your body count is 9/11. There's all right. Please apologize to this baby face.
So fucked up.
No, I refuse to apologize. I've been driven by will and insecurities, not because I look old, it's in spite of it.
We're Not Wrong is a production of Dog and Pony Show Audio. Our editor is Will Saddleberg. On PX3 this week, I talk a little bit about the Michigan race, and then Evan Scrimshaw comes on, and we go through the DNC's new schedule for their primary. We game out who is going to be in it, who will place first, second, and third in each, and give a way too early guess as to who the 2028 Democratic nominee is. I will give each of you a guess, and I will just confirm or deny whether or not it is correct that Scrimshaw and I come to the conclusion of. Who do you think we believe, after walking through each race, would be the 2028 nominee?
For which party? Both?
Democrats. The Democrats.
Buttigieg.
Heaton?
For 20, I have no idea.
Okay.
So pull a name out of your ass. Guess.
But it's going to be somebody. Okay. Shapiro?
Jen got it. Hear how we get to Buttigieg, which I did not think was where we were going to end up. And yet, after walking through all of them, there we were. By the way, Buttigieg going to go out and do a unity rally with Abdul al-Sayed. I'll be curious how it goes, because the progressives fucking hate Pete Buttigieg.
I don't know.
See.
I like Mayor Pete. He's growing on me. Is he cute?
He's got a beard
his little
now.
Family.
He's
I know.
got a beard
it
now.
works for him.
Yeah.
But he does good on the podcast circuits. He's representing himself very well. He can talk like a normal person. I don't know. Just the more I hear him talk, the more I like him.
All right. Well, anyway, that's BX3. Jen, congressional dish.
So the latest public episode is about flooding and flood insurance. I told you about that last week. What I really, and I understand it's behind the paywall. You will have to pay me to have your voice heard on this. But Patreon is making some changes that are going to affect Congressional Dish. We're losing the per episode model. In fact, we're going to lose it here for We're Not Wrong too. We should probably talk about that at some point. But I'm looking at what I'm doing with Congressional Dish. I feel like I'm doing things not necessarily wrong, but I know I have to change a lot. And so on my last Week in Congress episode, so it would be the August 3rd episode, I have a little producers meeting with the people that enjoy Congressional Dish and that pay for it, talking about kind of what I'm thinking and really looking for my audience's insights into what you like best about the show, because I'm going to make some major changes, definitely starting in November, but like big changes in January. And I want the audience to help me make these decisions. So if you want to be a part of that decision, please subscribe on Patreon. You will have to do that in order to have access to that conversation. But if you're a fan of Congressional Dish, first of all, I could use the support, but then also I want to know what the true fans of my show think. So that's on Last Week in Congress on Patreon, Congressional Dish.
Good stuff. Mr. Andrew Heaton.
Why don't we have nice trains? That is the question that I am asking on the Political Orphanage this week. I found it to be a fascinating conversation. I brought on a guy who's a transit expert, and that was my very first question. Why don't we have nice trains? It turns out there are a lot of reasons. It's not just we don't tax or spend, although that's part of it. And I go into it. So if you've ever wondered, like, how come Europe has nicer trains than us? How come buses are expensive? Why is it that we have shitty mass transit? We go into all of that. If you're about to become governor or mayor, I highly recommend you listen to this episode.
All right. Well, that will wrap it up for us today. For Jen Briney and Andrew Heaton, I am Justin Robert Young, reminding you, dear listener, that we're not wrong. The data center projections are.
Dog and Pony Show audio.